Now moving on, gentlemen, we are having our next speaker here on the forum. Please join your hands and let's welcome Dr. Suresh Babu, who will share his thoughts on rural healthcare. Very, very warm welcome, sir. Let's join our hands, gentlemen.
Good morning, everyone. At the outset, I would like to thank PrimeTime Research Media Private Limited for giving me this opportunity to speak on this podium and congratulate all the award receivers today. So today I would like to share my short journey of how we setting up a small multi-specialty hospital in a rural part of our state had its impact on changing the infrastructure of that constituency. I hail from a small village which goes by the name Golapur in the East Godavari district of Andhra Pradesh. After I completed my formal education in MS Orthopedics and having further super specialty training in arthroscopy, orthopedic rheumatology and regenerative medicine, I started practicing in a place in a city by name Rajahmundry, which is about 65-70 kilometers from my hometown. So while I was practicing in this place, my few friends, family members wanted me to visit our hometown and render my orthopedic services there as well, because there was a shortage of that services. So when I started discussing with my known people, they said there was a shortage of orthopedicians to come to our hometown. So I decided that I'll tie up with one of the clinics near our hometown in a place called Pittapuram, and I will go there once in a fortnight to see the patients. So when I started going to these clinics, I realized that there is an acute shortage of orthopedic services in this place, and there was no 24/7 available orthopedic surgeon in that place in 35 kilometers radius. So for any orthopedic problem that the patient has, he has to wait for a visiting orthopedic surgeon to come to that place and see him or her, get the investigations done, so that only then the proper treatment can be rendered. This was the scenario. So I thought there is a lacune. This lacune I can patch up if I can set up a multi-specialty hospital in that place. I was doing pretty well in Rajahmundry, where I was rendering my specialist services as an orthopedic rheumatologist and regenerative medicine specialist. But when I thought that if I could move to this place, in addition to my specialist services, I can render to regular orthopedic services and bridge the gap that is there. So we discussed among ourselves, so I discussed with my wife, who happens to be a gynecologist, and we decided to set up a 21-bedded multi-specialty hospital in Pittapuram. Then that was the starting point of a 24/7 trauma care center in Pittapuram. So that we started the first trauma care center in Pittapuram with dedicated trauma care team. So after we set up, everything was going pretty decent well. Patients were coming. Being an orthopedic rheumatologist, I used to get the patients not just from the town and adjoining villages, but also from combined Godavari districts, who were the old patients coming from very distant places as far as from ALU. So as this was going on, the COVID struck. The impact of COVID has already been elaborated. Each and every one of us who is sitting in this room have faced COVID crisis. We have undergone several hurdles. We have learned so many things. But what I learned has been the turning point for our hospitals. It came to a point when patients, every big hospital in the city, nearest vicinity, was converted into a COVID specialty center. The ICUs were jam-packed with COVID patients, and there is a shortage of ICUs which could render to the acute medical services, the regular acute medical services. So the patient had no option, nowhere, they were clueless where they should go. So they started flying anywhere and everywhere. So like that, we used to get the medical emergency cases coming to our hospital, and we could not refer them to any other higher hospital because every hospital ICU bed was full. There was no scope of getting the acute medical services, regular acute medical services. So we had no option but to send them back to the government hospital. One incident that shredded me was when a 34-year-old male patient was brought gasping to our hospital, and we had no option but to refer him. When we referred him, he went to the government hospital, nearest government hospital, about 25 kilometers, and there he breathed his last sitting in a waiting chair to be taken into a casualty, leaving behind a toddler of 3 years kid and a 1-year kid to be taken care by his wife. So this incident and several such incidents which happened surrounding us has intrigued us to think over, as we are able to bridge the gap of essential medical services, but when it comes to emergency medical care, there is still a lacuna and we are not able to cater to that. So then we decided that we need to start a critical care service unit in our hospital. So then we started acute medical care unit and a critical care unit ICU, tying up with third-party services where we are having a dedicated critical care team rendering 24/7 services of critical care, emergency medicine and ICU care. Now, when we when we first wanted to start this unit, there was a lot of criticism. So people said it was a foolish thing to start ICU in a rural setup, how you would get the patient. And one of the senior most anesthetists who happens to be a president of a prestigious medical association also has said, went on to say that we are doing this for a money purpose, to mint the money from the people. But we were very clear in our intentions. We knew that it is not a money-making service that we are going to provide. It was definitely an investment, but not for money. It was an investment to save the lives of the people. Because any ICU, as you all are running your hospitals, you might know, any ICU can generate revenue only when it is getting a feeder specialties. It should be, and provided there is about 60 to 75% occupancy, bed occupancy in a given month. Only then it is going to a profits. Now the challenges in a rural ICU is that first of all we don't have a super specialty services to be taken care. We cannot hire a super specialist to come and sit in our hospital and render the services. And the best we can do is to refer them to the nearest super specialty hospital. The second challenge was that we could not have advanced imaging modalities like CT scan, MRI when it is needed to be done. So these were the challenges that we were taking. But our motto was very clear. We were clear that we wanted to intervene in the golden hour of medical emergency. We all know that in the first golden hour of medical emergency, if we are able to intervene and give appropriate treatment to the patient, we can save them, we can reduce the mortality and morbidity by more than 85%. So this is the crux of our ICU. So we started this ICU based on only motto that we have to intervene during this golden hour, rescue the patient and then refer them to the nearest vicinity where he needs a definitive treatment and gets it done. So when we started this ICU, I'm very proud that after 15 months of its inception, today we have treated and recovered more than 300 people by rescuing them in this golden hour. More than 30 patients have been taken on ventilators, extubated them and sent back home to enjoy their life back with their family members. Now these are the people who would have otherwise succumbed en route to the nearest vicinity, ICU care facility. So this we are doing at a cost which is less than 1/3 of any other nearest vicinity ICU care setups. Now, today as I speak here, there is a CVA patient, there is a cerebral brain stroke patient who is getting treatment, and I'm sure that his total cost of treatment will be less than 1/4 of what would it be if he goes to any other center. So in spite of all these initiations, we still get a large chunk of people who are still not able to afford the cost, the meager cost that we are offering these services at. In order to cater to these services, we have started an NGO in the name of Gangireddy Foundation, where we are giving them the financial assistance as well to get these treatment options done. Now the effect of this, 2 minutes, thank you. So I would like to wind up. So I just wanted to share with you the impact of the setting a rural ICU. Now, setting up this rural ICU has not only instilled confidence in our hospital, but the confidence of surrounding doctors who are now confident and taking up complicated and high-risk patients and are able to perform more complicated procedures. Because of which, the testimonial of which is that 3 years back when we had only 2 X-ray units in our constituency, today we have not 1 or 2, but 3 advanced imaging diagnostic services with CT and ultrasound. And we have one more MRI center coming up in a few months to come. Now today, there is no need for a pregnant woman to travel 30-35 kilometers to get a regular antenatal scan done. For a medical emergency patient to go to a CT scan, get done and lose on the golden definitive hour. So this is what I call a snowballing effect. It just required one right stone to topple